Okay, so this shot is very fun. It was very fun to do. As you can see, it's a it's a Titan getting destroyed by a bullet, by a cannon. And even though the cannon looks like this in render, it just looks fine because it's a whole motion blur glow. You can see there is a lot of grains, smoke, slow motion effects, and some things are interacting with each other. Like, for example, this wind going to the left. So there's a lot of things to learn. Anyways, so let's begin. I would like to show you first this balloon body, which I did. The animation was done precisely the same as with the Titan. It's the same rig, but on a different character. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the small Titan, and it's this one. As you can see, it goes from only these frames, but we decided to do a slow motion. This is an animation. We told the animator to actually animate what's being shown in the background image. As you can see, we try to make this as one-to-one as possible, right? But this is not what we are going to be using. So let's remove this background image and let me show you what we did. So let me just turn everything off and let's go and turn this off too. So the first thing we did, or I did, is the balloon. The balloon, everything here is the animation, and from here onwards, it's a simulation. There's nothing that has been animated here by hand. But as you can see, these are all the forces I applied to get what I wanted. So how is this done? Well, to begin with, there's a couple of things that I have to do. Firstly, I grabbed the Titan and then I retimed it. So this retime is super simple. It's a tool that I made. It's also in one of my YouTube channels, or one of my YouTube videos. But the way this is done is that between a solver, what's being done is I'm calculating the scale and the frame start, and then I'm saying, hey, if the frame is less than the frame start, in this case 101, then the time is going to be equals to my frame start -1 divided my FPS. In this case, my FPS is 24, and this is going to give me the precise time in the precise frame. Anything else, we're going to be adding the scale, which is 1 divided by the FPS. This will give me the time scale. The time scale, or the, well, not the time scale, but the time incremental is around, let me grab a calculator real fast, is 1 divided by 24. So each frame is going to be adding this to the time. Why am I calculating the time? Because I want to then go into the time warp and just change this with the time from this output, which is, if I go into the build, see the time is updating here, and I can actually retime this with the, I can actually retime this with this node, and it's very useful, to be honest. See, right now the scale went down right here, and from here onwards we are adding way less time. If we go here, the time right here, this is on points. This is on points. A second, right here, the time here is updating as normal, but from here onwards is like slowed down. That's the only thing I'm doing. Then I'm calculating the tracks because of course the velocities change, and I'm caching this into the prism file cache. So this is what I got. Everything is slow motion. So after this, what I had to do is to grab the Titan in the T-pose, which is this one. I added a color, and then I transform it to the real scale, and I split everything that's the meat. And what I did is to grab a group of the arm. I'm setting the names, the same trick as before. which is basically calculating how many shapes plus adding the Titan. It's always nice to have the name of the Titan or the object itself. And then the only thing I'm doing is adding a grid to where I want the cat to be, and in fracture boolean this with append and this prefix. This will make so that I have two names. If I were to have a look at this, it will look something like that. If I were to explode view, this is the arm on the inside, and this is the arm on the, well, near the body. I also said no polygons. No polygons will output this triangulation right here, which is better. And I have these groups inside and outside. So then I split the inside and the outside. What I'm doing here is on the inside doing a VDB from polygons, converting, doing a little pick on some on this part so they don't intersect, using some points that I might be having overlaps, and remeshing. Usually for Vellum, it's nice to have a remeshed version. I try to have a close look at the fingers because I want to have detail there. And then I'm doing a TED conform. The TED conform is a way to triangulate inside a mesh. This is very useful for soft body dynamics. If I were to place W, you will see that I have all this mesh inside like a cobweb, right? So this is what's going to be configuring my, well, the soft body. So it's not going to collapse. Then I'm grouping this, and I'm doing the same thing here, but with, I believe, more detail. Or no, it's the same detail, roughly the same detail. 0.2 and 0.2. Yeah, I'm using the same detail on both of these guys. The same for the TED conform. I have both shapes, so extremely nice. And then I'm doing a point deform. This point deform is basically grabbing my rest position and my animation, and I'm basically just moving my, well, my triangulation. As you can see, it's very fast, so it's not an issue anywhere. I need to have this first. Then I'm also trailing the velocity again, so I can have proper velocities, and I'm splitting again the body on one side, which is this one, and the arm on this one. And you will see there's a lot of repetition. What is exactly what I'm doing? Firstly, I'm then shifting on the place where the bullet impacts, which is this frame, 1043. And then I'm painting. I'm painting where I want one particular force to be influencing my dynamic. So let me show you. This is how it looks if I play with the velocities. As you can see, if I move this, it will change the velocity. So let me just, for a brief moment, disable all this, disable it, and let's see. I'm going to explain this later, and let's see how it looks when simulated. So you will see that I only have this force applied here, but there is another force. Okay, this is from the arm, but let's just have a look at the body. Now the body went where I wanted it to be. There's nothing else, only this force. And if I were to double it, so I'm pushing more, the body will go even further. See? So having this in mind, I can roughly say where I want my simulations to go. So I started like somewhat of sculpting my forces into the Vellum simulation. So I have this shape, which is the first velocity, which I did. You can see it here. This is it. Then I painted on the head, and I added more. If you want to see the code, it's simply the position minus the point multiplied by this multiplier multiplied by the mask. So I'm masking where I want, I'm multiplying the force, and I'm just calculating the distance. The farther the point is, the more force is going to be applied. I'm painting on the head. This is the left arm, and I have another point right here. So as you can see, I'm sculpting everywhere. In this case, I want the guy to have also like a spinning motion to the right. So I started painting on some places and I started pushing everywhere. In this case, it's just a motion going from right to left. And I painted on the other hip and I did like a counter clock. See, as you can see, I have a force here and a force there, so it's going to spin on its place. Then an arm, so I want this to be risen, and I'm doing the same here. And finally, on the head, because you know when something impacts you here, you tend to lower your head forwards. So this is the force that I'm going to be applying forwards, which is the well, it's like it's going to be hiding the head. So this is all the forces. These are all the forces for the body, and I did exactly the same idea for the arm. In this case, you can see it's working here and finally here. And it still had some clipping issues, so I just, if I'm not mistaken, I moved it a little bit, as you can see here. And moving forwards a little bit more, what I did is to, in this case, calculating the distance. There's nothing changed here, and a TED volume. The TED volume is going to be calculating the inside of the. It's going to be using the inside shapes to calculate like a more hard like vellum effect. And the shifting is set to 2. That's the only thing I did. This is for the arms, and as you can see, I then merged it, the left side with the left side on the other ones, and the right side with the right side. So you'll see this is a little bit more complex, but the only thing I'm doing is that there are some places that I don't want to have bending, right? So some places do bend. Firstly, I'm calculating the strength. There are some places that I want to have more strength, so I don't want them to be overly blendy. Then I'm calculating, this is SP is from shape match. I don't know why I say SP, it should be SM, it doesn't matter. There are some places that we have bones, so they shouldn't actually be bending. And in original iterations, it was bending. So these are all the masks I'm going to be using. One for each bone. This is key. You need one per bone. The head, of course, is a skull, so it should be quite solid. And finally, one for these two parts. So I'm calculating the distance. See that I'm also calculating the strength. This is very interesting because I had an issue where this was very solid. So what I did is to lower the strength right here with the brush. So this is near 0. So it allows me to have a fake dynamic. I could have used a ragdoll, yeah, but I don't know. I think this approach was way more interesting to test. Then I did the same for the legs, the same for the arm, the same for the head, the back of the arm, the distance, the volume, also the strength and the damping is changing here. It's using the same multiplier. And here's what's interesting. I'm going to add a shape match everywhere where the mask is bigger than 0. You will see this is going to be like a bone. It's going to be solid. This is also going to be solid. The same for this, and the same for the head, and the same for the arm. So we're going to have these shapes very, very solid, like a bone. We're going to be merging everything, and you will see that everything simulated in slow motion, and it looks like this. I probably have changed something while I was recording, but that's not an issue, as I already have everything cached into this. Yeah, see, this was different, so I'll have to check on a previous frame, but it doesn't really matter that much right now. Oh, okay, it was this thing that I turned off. Let's check again. Let's press reset simulation. Yeah, it was that. Let me check. Well, there's something going on here after which I'm recalculating the timings. So you will see on the volume simulation, I didn't change anything, but the time scale, which is the same, a little bit lower than this red time. I'm just copy and pasting that, multiplying by a factor. So they are linked together. What to show you with dependencies, this is linked right there. So right here, what I also did is to retime what my simulation and make it even slower than it was before. I can control everything here. Then I'm doing again, changing the volume right here, and I'm doing a couple of things. Firstly, the T-pose, then the rest. This is the balloon body on T-pose, I mean on rest pose. This is the arm. You will see this is very here at the top. I'm using these two guys. Using this one, then I'm using T-pose, and then this is an animation. So I'm deforming with my simulation, I'm deforming this body. Then I'm shifting this to the frame I want, which is 1043, which is this frame, and I'm painting to the color that I want. Then I'm also doing another time shift. This is for the simulation, same frame. This is for the balloon. Well, this is actually the what I'm going to be rendering. This is my my simulation shape, my simulation geometry, and this is my actual geometry. And here, what I'm doing is switching from previous frames, which is time shifted because I don't have anything before this. I'm time shifting. Everything is paused here to this simulation. Then I'm just point deforming my actual shape, my actual body. I went from this to this with 2 point deforms. One to create a static shape and one to create an animation. The same thing is going on here for the shape, for the arm. I'm merging between these two guys and I'm trailing. I'm adding the velocity. And then I'm also switching because I actually do have the first part of the animation, which is going to stay, but from one frame to another, I'm just going to swap from this frame to this frame, and you will see it's the same. And this is what I'm having. Moving forwards, I'm going to have this set here. I'm just reinserting this simulation. I'm also grabbing the Titan, but this is temporal mini, which is a poly-reduced version of this big one. What I'm doing is poly-reducing on one frame, and then just, well, I'm just having this poly-reduced version. The same thing is for the balloon version. This is the broken balloon. I believe I should, yeah, here is the poly-reduced version. It's the same as this guy, these two guys here, but I'm grabbing this out, and I'm shifting, poly-reducing, point deforming. So it's the same. I'm just point deforming the low res on the top, on the high res. This is just for pre-visualization, and I think it looks quite cool. So let me just turn this on, which is the low res. And let's go to the bone. The bone is super simple. I'm grabbing a box, PDB, converting, setting the name, doing smooth, adding a boolean on the middle, like the same I did with the arm, and assembling, splitting one part, conforming it again to a desired position. And here I'm grabbing the inside of the arms. I'm just splitting the inside, blasting one of them on some certain points. I'm shifting to what I want, which is 1043, which is the initial frame, and then extracting the transformation and deleting the pivot. Once I delete the pivot, I can place here my animation, and this is how it looks. If this is the bone, I'm trailing this and just caching this. Then when it comes to the blood, these are a couple of setups, but basically what I am doing is that I'm grabbing, I'm shifting this, so I only have this balloon simulation, and I'm trailing this whole setup. I think I even have the velocities beforehand, yeah, but I'm trailing again. Then I'm splitting the outside, and from the inside, I'm calculating the collider with the collisions at the boxes at 0.02, point B and B, so I can have also velocities. The same for the arm. It's always nice to have different things. Then here I'm calculating, I'm just grabbing this outside, I mean the inside part. I'm extracting the central. I'm calculating with a trail. This is going to take a little bit, and I'm calculating with a trail the path. And I believe I went to the final frame. So I'm calculating the whole animation, and you will see there is a path. I'm adding everything with this group. I'm stashing this because I just didn't want to do a file cache for this. This is good enough. And I'm resampling this so the points are more uniform. So this is a line for some forces I'm going to be using. This is the arm again. I'm splitting the inside. No, I'm splitting one part of the inside, and I'm rasterizing this to have some velocities. So these are my sources, which are going to be used with, later on. While here, what I'm doing is splitting again, trailing, and I'm shifting this to the first frame, doing some scatter on this guy right here, and I'm adding a mask. This mask looks something like this, which, if I'm not mistaken, is moving. Then I'm adding IDs, and I'm also removing based on a threshold and my mask. So I'm not going to be emitting all the time. And then I'm remapping this so I can have subframes, adding a normal so I can have normals. This is how it looks. So it will move so this will be moving with my simulation.